There was once a traveler who walked from village to village seeking wisdom. He carried many books, asked countless questions, and filled his mind with endless knowledge, yet his heart remained restless. One day, he met an old sage sitting quietly beneath a tree. The traveler asked, "What is the secret to wisdom?" The sage smiled, but said nothing. The traveler repeated his question. Again, there was only silence. Frustrated, the traveler prepared to leave. As he turned away, he noticed the gentle sound of the wind moving through the leaves, the songs of distant birds, and the rhythm of his own breathing. For the first time in many years, he truly listened. In that silent moment, his mind became calm. The sage then spoke, "When the cup is already full, nothing more can be poured into it. Silence empties the cup." The traveler understood. Wisdom is not only found in speaking, reading, or searching. It is also found in stillness. Many people fear silence. They fill every moment with noise, distractions, and endless conversations. Yet a muddy pond becomes clear only when it is left undisturbed. The mind is the same. When thoughts constantly race, clarity disappears. When silence is welcomed, understanding begins to emerge. There was once a king known for his quick temper. The smallest mistake would fill him with anger. One day, a wise teacher gave him a simple instruction. Whenever anger rises, remain silent for 1 minute before speaking. The king thought the advice was foolish, but he agreed to try. The next time a servant made an error, anger surged within him. Harsh words rushed to his lips. But he remembered the instruction and remained silent. As the seconds passed, his anger weakened. By the end of the minute, he saw the situation differently. What seemed like a great offense was merely a small mistake. That day, silence saved him from causing unnecessary pain. Silence creates space between emotion and action. In that space, wisdom can enter. There was an sage, also a young student who wished to become intelligent. He constantly interrupted others, eager to share his opinions. One day, his teacher handed him a lamp. "Carry this lamp through the village tonight," the teacher said. "But do not speak to anyone. Silence brings clarity, just as muddy water becomes clear when left undisturbed." Imagine a pond after a heavy storm. The water is muddy, the surface is disturbed, and nothing beneath it can be seen clearly. If someone were to look into that pond, searching for a reflection or trying to see what lies at the bottom, they would find only confusion. But if the pond is left alone, something remarkable happens. The mud slowly settles, the ripples disappear, and the water becomes clear. The human mind works in much the same way. In today's world, many people live in a constant state of noise. There are endless conversations, notifications, opinions, worries, and distractions competing for attention. The mind jumps from one thought to another without rest. When this happens, it becomes difficult to think clearly. Small problems appear larger than they really are. decisions become harder to make, and inner peace seems distant. People often search outside themselves for answers, believing that more information will solve their confusion. Yet sometimes the problem is not a lack of knowledge. The problem is that the mind is too crowded to recognize the wisdom it already possesses. Silence has the power to create clarity. It gives the mind an opportunity to settle. When a person sits quietly, even for a few moments, the constant stream of thoughts begins to slow down. At first, the mind may seem even louder because there is no distraction to cover the noise. But with patience, the mental clutter gradually loses its strength. Thoughts come and go like clouds, passing through the sky. Instead of becoming trapped by every worry or fear, a person begins to observe them calmly. This calm observation changes the way life is experienced. Situations that once seemed overwhelming become easier to understand. Emotions that once controlled every action lose their power. In silence, people often discover that many of their fears are based on assumptions rather than reality. They see opportunities where they once saw obstacles. They find solutions that were hidden by stress and confusion. Wisdom comes through listening. True wisdom is not only about speaking or learning. It grows when we listen deeply to others and to ourselves. There was once a young man who believed that wisdom came from speaking. Whenever he sat among others, he was eager to share his thoughts. He interrupted conversations, offered opinions on every subject, and felt proud when people listened to him. He thought that the more he spoke, the more intelligent he appeared. Yet, despite all his words, he often found himself confused, making mistakes, and struggling to understand the people around him. One day, he met an elderly teacher known for his calm presence and deep understanding. The young man asked, "How can I become wise?" The teacher looked at him for a moment and replied, "Learn to listen." The young man was disappointed. The answer seemed too simple. He had expected secret teachings or complicated lessons. Still, he respected the teacher and decided to follow the advice. Silence controls emotions. Pausing in silence before reacting helps reduce anger, prevents mistakes, and leads to better decisions. A person's life can change in a single moment of silence. Many of the mistakes people regret are not the result of careful thought, but of quick reactions. A harsh word spoken in anger, a decision made in fear, or an action taken in frustration can create consequences that last far longer than the emotion that caused them. This is why silence is such a powerful teacher. It creates a space between emotion and action, allowing wisdom to guide the response. There was once a merchant who was respected throughout his town for his success. He had worked hard for many years and had built a prosperous business. Yet, despite his achievements, he had one weakness. He became angry very quickly. When employees made mistakes, he shouted. When customers complained, he argued. When plans did not go as expected, he reacted without thinking. His anger often created more problems than the original situation. One day, an elderly traveler visited the merchant's shop. After observing his behavior, the traveler offered a simple piece of advice. Whenever strong emotions arise, remain silent for a few moments before speaking. The merchant laughed at the suggestion. It seemed too simple to be useful. However, he decided to try it. The next morning, an employee accidentally damaged an expensive item. Anger immediately rose within the merchant. His face became tense, and harsh words rushed into his mind. But he remembered the traveler's advice. Instead of speaking, he remained silent. Inner peace creates better judgment. A calm and silent mind allows us to see situations more clearly and respond with awareness rather than impulse. Many people spend their lives searching for better judgment. They want to make wise decisions, avoid unnecessary mistakes, and find the right path through life's challenges. Yet, they often look for answers in complicated methods, believing that wisdom comes only from knowledge, experience, or advice from others. While these things are valuable, there is another source of wisdom that is often overlooked. Inner peace. A peaceful mind sees clearly. A restless mind sees only confusion. Imagine trying to look at your reflection in a lake during a storm. Strong winds create waves, and the water constantly moves. No matter how hard you try, your reflection appears distorted. But when the wind settles and the water becomes calm, the reflection becomes clear. In the same way, a troubled mind struggles to see situations accurately. Fear, anger, stress, and anxiety distort perception. They cause people to misunderstand circumstances, exaggerate problems, and overlook simple solutions. There was once a village leader who was known for making wise decisions. Whenever a dispute arose between villagers, people would seek his guidance. His judgments were fair, thoughtful, and respected by everyone. One day, a young man asked him, "How do you always know the right thing to do?" The leader smiled and said, "I do not always know the right thing immediately. I first make sure my mind is at peace." The young man was surprised. He expected a more complicated answer. The leader explained, "When my mind is disturbed, I see only fragments of the truth. When my mind becomes calm, I can see the whole picture. The greatest truths are found in stillness. Many answers and insights are hidden beneath the noise of daily life, and can only be discovered through quiet reflection and silence." In the modern world, people are surrounded by noise almost every moment of the day. There are conversations, notifications, advertisements, opinions, entertainment, endless streams of information competing for attention. Many have become so accustomed to constant stimulation that silence feels uncomfortable. The moment quiet appears, they reach for a device, turn on music, or find something to occupy their minds. Yet beneath all this noise lies a deeper reality. Some of life's greatest truths reveal themselves only in stillness. There was once a seeker who spent years traveling from place to place in search of wisdom. He visited teachers, studied books, and listened to countless lectures. Wherever he went, he asked the same question: "What is the secret of understanding life?" Every teacher gave a different answer. Some spoke of knowledge, Others spoke of discipline, and still others spoke of experience. The seeker collected many teachings, yet he remained unsatisfied. His mind grew crowded with ideas, and the more answers he gathered, the more confused he became. One day, while traveling through a remote valley, he became exhausted and sat beneath a large tree. There was no one around him, no teacher, no book, no conversation. For the first time in many years, he simply sat in silence. As the hours passed, he listened to the wind moving through the leaves. He watched clouds drift across the sky. He noticed the rhythm of his breathing and the stillness of the moment. Slowly, the constant noise within his mind began to settle.